Hey everybody! We're starting, so this is a Hat in Time. I'm real excited to show it off. Gonna jump in here, start a new game. This is a spiritual successor to games like, I believe its biggest influence is Super Mario Sunshine, which will be real apparent when you see the first level here. Feel free to jump in chat. Matt he doesn't have to be the only one talking. I'll respond to anybody. This is Hat Kid. She's sleeping. That's thrilling commentary, I know.
Good morning, and welcome to yet another day of space adventure. You are only 5 light years away from your destination, home. The fuel tank is full, and the ship is flying at full speed.
So yeah, the opening, it just kind of lays out you're trying to get home in your spaceship. I guess you're a kid on a magical journey. They really don't give you any background, which is fine. You got this really cool, there's like a pillow fort to play around in. You can swim in it. The swimming controls aren't great, but you don't actually have to do it in any of the levels. There are no challenges that require it. You can investigate the stuff around the room for some pretty cool... There's some interesting dialogue stuff. Those are pawns. That's the currency, kind of like coins for Mario or gems for Spyro. We actually use them to buy stuff and unlock levels. Oh no, I have my mods on. Well, I just won't equip that. I only have the one mod equipped. I've got a bunch of extra levels, but those won't be involved at all. We're not going to deal with that. But I've got Lilac's headpiece from Freedom Planet on, and I don't know how to turn that off specifically, so we got an alert here. So, all good. That's our fuel. Timepieces is a super simple visual representation of your journey and stakes here. I really like the opening. It's got it starts in a cutscene, which is always a little meh, but you get to move around and walk and whatnot, and it's very brief, concise, gets the point across real fast. It's very clear.
This flying boat? All boats need to pay toll in Mafia Town, even in space. Mafia come in to collect.
I think the idea, they went with the Russian Mafia instead of the Italian Mafia. That was pretty smart. Just in terms of not regurgitating the old Mafia, cliches that you would see in literally any Mafia movie. Gives them a bit of a different flavor. A lot of people aren't even aware there is a Russian Mafia. But there's a Mafia for pretty much every country. It's just what we refer to organized crime families as, and they exist pretty much everywhere. I love these splash art screens. There's one for every big mission. And they are gorgeous. I don't remember the name of the artist, but she's very cool. I gotta look her up sometime so I can remember the name. So that's the deal. All of the fuel got sucked out of our ship, we gotta go find it. Easy peasy. A Challenger! Oh no, how will I catch her? So these are vaults. Whoa, what? I got stuck for a sec there. I think one of the Mafia did something to him. Or Mustache Girl there, that's her name. You are not supposed to know how to use your moveset yet, so you shouldn't be able to catch up to her like I'm doing.
Hey you! Down there! Don't think I didn't see you stalking me! Us kids should stick together, not stalk one another. I mean, Mafia Town can be a really dangerous place. So what'd you say? Wanna join my little rebellion? Oh, by the way, did you have anything to do with the junk falling from the sky? Yeah? Yikes! looks like you've got a lot of cleaning up to do, huh? Tell you what, come up here and I can show you where some of your junk landed.
So the voice acting in this game is pretty uneven. Some of it is really fantastic, as you'll see when we get to World 3, the Subcon Forest. But Mustache Girl in particular drives me totally crazy. I don't like her voice, and her dialogue is the most verbose in the game. She'll go on for text box after text box, and it drives me a little crazy. One of the reasons that Mafia Town is not my favorite level in the game. It is plenty gorgeous. It's a cool place. The other worlds are so... Oh no, that ain't good. Yeah, the other worlds all have some really interesting stuff going on, and Mafia Town, I don't think is that interesting by comparison. But it's a good place to start. So that's Yarn. Yeah, is the sound mixing good? That's good to hear. It's hard for me to test by myself, so I can adjust the volume on my mic pretty easily. The game audio is a little tougher because I don't know anything about this. So what I picked up there is Yarn. That is a collectible. It's fairly important. We use it to make hats. What is interesting about it... Well, we use it to make hats, and the hats give us new powers. So, we have 2 pieces of yarn. You pick up specific yarn and it unlocks a hat. So we got Sprint Yarn, which lets us make the Sprint hat, and Brewing Yarn, which lets us make the Brewing hat. So the Sprint hat we can craft now because the yarn is interchangeable. A specific type of yarn will unlock a kind of hat, so you can't craft the Sprint hat till you find Sprint Yarn, but 2 of any yarn will make it. So it's very friendly to the player in that respect, and the Sprint hat is so useful, and is the one we'll be using like 99% of the time, just because it gets us where we're going faster. So as you can see, despite the fact that I'm in the sort of tutorial here, I can go freeform explore the whole level.
Follow me, Rebel Squad.
And there's actually, I believe, an achievement for getting the wrong timepiece in the first level and just skipping the tutorial entirely. But I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to show off the intended experience.
Hey, I think one of your
To
junkies
some
smashed
extent.
right into the market's fountain. Messed it up real good. When going over there, just avoid making eye contact with the Mafia and you'll be fine. Good luck, fellow rebel. See ya! Hey!
Huh?
How do you?
Hat Kid's voice acting is fantastic, even though she never actually says words. Oh yeah, so you steal the umbrella, that becomes your only weapon. Which, even the game's UI kind of implies that there should be other weapons, but there are not. So this is a timepiece, this little woo-woo. The fanfare chime there, my son really loves that. He likes to mimic it. It's so cute. So that's our first timepiece out of 40 total. And that gets us into... So the rest of our ship it's been powered down because we're out of fuel. But we got 1 timepiece, so it gets us this. So that unlocks the rest of Mafia Town. Then down here we need 4 timepieces to get through this door, 14 to get through that one, 7 to get through that one, and 25 for the finale. But we need to do Mafia Town first, get some timepieces in there. So that's Mafia. Welcome to Mafia Town. We need 5 pawns to unlock this one, but we'll do Act 2 instead. Barrel battle. So yeah, I love, like, this game just has, it's got a great color palette. I suppose I should slow down and show off a couple things, just get everybody on the same page. Show off the moves and stuff. So for starters, you got your standard jump, and then you got a double jump. You can change direction after you double jump, but your ability to change direction otherwise in midair is pretty good. Whoop, didn't intend to do all that. But I'll show it off anyway. So you got, if you run into a wall and jump, you will do a wall run. You can kick off while you're wall running, and you can chain those together as you see here. There's also the belly slide. Oh yeah, that's a vault code. Gathering enough of them opens a vault which contains treasure. So the belly slide is like that. It's a dash forward, and then you slide forward on your belly, and she will just stay prone like this until you hit A to cancel off. If you cancel off the second you hit the ground, boy, I'm bad at it. Speedrunners can do it flawlessly. But as soon as her belly touches the ground, if you cancel, she will surge forward and get a bunch of extra height and speed. You can do the belly slide in the air, and you can cancel in the air, so you can do things like chain together a double jump, belly slide, cancel to really give yourself a lot of mid-air control. It's nice because if you miss a jump, you have a whole lot of options for saving yourself, and the game is really, like, the areas are designed around it. Here's some more yarn, which is nice. We need 4 pieces to make our next hat, which gives us a projectile attack. The combat is very standard. You got a swing attack. You can do a homing attack in midair, which is the best attack, and you'll never use anything else, except for maybe one of the hat powers. But we'll get to those as we unlock them. So, as you may have noticed, if you go to a vault that's locked, it will show you little lines moving toward where the next tickets are, but they vanish pretty quickly. So it gives you a nice hint. There's no, you know, where the F do I go to find these things. It gets very nice, particularly for the Golden Vault, which we will be doing later. So inside the Blue Vault here, gets us more yarn and some pawns. The pawns are used for unlocking levels like you saw earlier, and they're also used for buying badges, which we can attach to our hat to give us other kinds of powers. And the combination of your hat and badges is sort of your loadout, but you can switch hats on the fly, and your badge loadout will remain the same. You gotta go into the menu to switch badges. I'll cover that a little more as we get into the badges.
Hey, child, shoo! Mafia can't have child witness when Mafia teaching lesson. This awkward for Mafia. Mafia not sure what to do.
The boulder is conflicted about beating a little blind girl.
What do we do with eyewitness? Teach a lesson, boys.
Alright. So here's our first big combat deal. What these guys do, it's interesting, is if you just combo at them, the first couple are pretty giveaway. You just smack them a few times and they go down. They'll do that, and then you need to use a different attack in order to beat them up, so that it forces you to use more of your moveset. Once you get other attacks, you can use those as well, but for now we've pretty much just got the umbrella and the homing attacks, so...
Enough! Mafia won't...
I can't show it off because I don't know it, but from watching the speedruns, I know that there's a safe spot you can stand where the barrels here won't even hit you. But it is super redundant because this is the easiest boss ever. I'm just holding left and spamming my dash right now. And I don't even really need to do the dash spamming part. I suppose it'd be a little more interesting if I did the fight semi-intended. But he's really not that hard or interesting. This, I actually feel like this one's a little bit of a mistake. Because it gives you the idea that the bosses are going to be really perfunctory and simple, and they're not. They're by far the hardest and most complex part of the game. And really interesting. The boss fights are phenomenal. If you don't mind spoiling the best part of the game for yourself, go look up Your Contract Has Expired on YouTube. I guarantee you'll get 1,000,000 hits. Because that boss fight... so good. I beat it for the first time, then turned around and immediately did it again just for fun. This guy takes a super unnecessary number of hits. But that's the only difficult thing about him. Looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again! Ting. Oh yeah, you're saying Mega Man Legends, similar issue with the first boss. That was the 3D one. Right, that was supposed to get like a spiritual successor or a sequel recently, but I think it fell through. IIRC. I recall that game not aging very well as well too. That was back when 3D adventures were enough of a deal to sell a game on their own.
No? You shy? That's cool. You're a less talk, more fighting kind of girl, I take it. That thing.
So Mustache Girl, they spend a lot of time building her up just because she's pretty important to the story.
I've seen the goons
So
bring them to their
this isn't all
headquarters
just a waste
we
of
should
time.
go up there and get your junk. It'll be fun. I'll take any opportunity that involves messing up the mafia. You with me, buddy?
So circle strafing to win, as I understand, was sort of the deal with all of Mega Man Legends. But I could be wrong about that. I never played it, so I probably shouldn't talk a bunch of shit about it. Maybe it's really good. I know that it's got a pretty devoted fan base. And sometimes unique ideas just aren't all that popular. So this is something too. As we go, we'll get more people in our ship here.
Are you ready to take down some mafia?
There's a bit of a cutscene section here, so
Let's go over the plan.
kinda entertaining
All
actually.
assaults need a good plan, or it'll be a flop.
As long as you can
First, we
stand
strangle
Mustache
them,
Girl's
choke 'em and watch 'em
voice.
beg for mercy. That'll show 'em. No, wait. Strangling is too kind. We smash them together into mush and put their remains in a jar. Then we sell the jar for pocket money. That'll be the ultimate salt in the wound.
So my question is, who buys the jar?
But first, we have to make it through their Mafia HQ. Once we find and dethrone the Mafia boss, the rest will follow. Then our mush and jar party will be no problem. We've got to get you geared up. Your hat is basic, and we don't do basic in this gang.
Clearly.
Yarn can be found around Mafia Town and used to stitch new hats if you're crafty. I've collected one for you. You need more yarn for some hats than others. I guess being creative isn't free. So keep an eye out for yarn. Now you're a killing machine. Let's go get them.
So the game does open up quite a bit. It makes you do the first 4 or so missions in order, but after that it gets much more freeform. And it's not like you're totally locked into a weak tutorial mode the whole time either, so it's just good. It gets you introduced to the concepts before you run off and get lost. Right? Thanks. Fortunately, the yarn is interchangeable, so I can use it to make the brewer hat, and I'm right next to the 4th piece of yarn right now, so if I can get in there. I forget. I think I can. But I forget how. Oh, here we are. Oh no, never mind. I actually need a different hat to get in there, as I recall. That's okay, there's more yarn in the level, I'll find some pretty easily. This level's actually really fun, got a unique twist to it. So it's raining, and look, you got a little raincoat on! Isn't that just super cute? There's yarn over there, but I don't think the tools to get it. Maybe it is. Yeah, so there's that nice glow around collectible objects that makes them really visible from a long distance, and it reminds me of the sparkle on Spyro gems, where you could see them from a super long distance, especially for the time. Okay, so this is the brewer hat. The sprint hat is obvious in what it does. Lets me run by holding down L2, and it gives me a slightly different jump. So this is my normal jump when I'm moving forward, and the sprint hat does this, but you can't double jump off of a sprint hat super jump like that, so you really need to choose what you're going to do with it. The brewer hat gives me instead, I can throw these vials of explosive magic goo. They do pretty good damage, and they auto-aim pretty generously, but they take a little charge-up time, and they got a cooldown afterward. Not super long, but you kind of need to know stuff is coming. You can't just whip it out in 1 second, you know? So here's the crux of this level, where we slip and fall in some mud. And then this guy, well, some guy, somewhere, I think maybe he's up here. Yeah.
That darn seagull over there took my camera. I would have gone and done a belly dive over there. No, but this belly's too precious for sliding on.
Oh, so the original hat, if you just wear Hat Kid's normal hat and hold down L2, it will show you where you need to go to complete the level, and where you need to go to get the timepiece, which is really nice. That's super handy, especially in these big open-worldy games. I love them, but sometimes it gets to be really just, I want to know where the hell I need to go. So I don't use it for the most part, unless I'm stuck. Yeesh, let's see. Oh hey, treasure chest. Let's open it. So we got more brewing yarn. Where do I take this penguin? Yeah, and which of the penguins is the correct one, right? Jeez, over there, huh? So we can dive in the water to get unmuddy, but we gotta be muddy to complete the level, so I'm just gonna stay all slicked up. Because we're about to run into a guy. I feel like this was shorter and easier on my first run, so I think I did something wrong, but... can you really do something wrong? And here we go, here we go.
It's slimy space alien! Mafia's a spaceship! Mafia knew all along! Mafia is being invaded by aliens!
He's not wrong, is the thing. Hat Kid is canonically an alien who just happens to look exactly like a human in every way. So you scare this guy, you get pawns off him, and then you gotta follow him and chase him around the rest of the level. And what is interesting design-wise about this one is that following him requires you to be a little creative and use your moveset properly and really show off that you've learned how to do the belly slide in midair, do the wall run. It doesn't require that you've mastered all that stuff yet, but it just makes you prove you know how to do that stuff before you move on. And if you're stuck for a little while, it'll give you button prompts to let you know kind of what to do. I'm not going to be sticking around that long, though. So this is Act 3. Act 4 is our first big boss fight, and then we will be free to go to the second world or finish out Mafia Town. Once we get a couple more pieces, we'll unlock the third world. The fourth world you unlock very last. You need 14 timepieces for it, so you have to have cleaned up some of the earlier worlds. But that's probably for the best, because the third world, or the fourth world's very challenging. You can completely skip it as well. You can get 25 timepieces in the other worlds and not ever go to the fourth one, if I remember correctly. So that means you can skip it and go right to the final boss if it's too hard for you. And I wouldn't be... There's no shame in that, because the difficulty jump for the fourth world is massive. And it's really there as... It's like a treat for players who've played a whole lot of platforming games in their childhood or what have you and wanted to... Just really want to relive those frustrating glory days. So this is Down with the Mafia. We'll see our first real boss fight. There is more to it, though. Yeah, this is a really great game, except for the crappy energy bar that rations all of your abilities. Oh wait, that's ukulele, never mind.
You took your
So, oh, I skipped the dialogue. I wasn't supposed to do that. I got really into the habit of doing that just because I replayed this game a lot. And actually, there's an option in the options menu that will skip all skippable cutscenes for you, which is very thoughtful. The options menu in here is actually really good. I'm not going to show it off because nobody wants to look at the damn options menu, but if you have the game or ever get it, check it out because it's extremely player-friendly, and it has a built-in speedrunning timer as well. They were really thinking ahead on this in terms of the speedrun community. So this guy...
Hi there, young one. I am from a faraway land.
He's a little weird.
I've seen every corner of the earth, and now I sell tiny pieces of my discoveries.
I think this guy is an homage to something that I don't get.
Me the badge seller, for I sell and trade badges. I can provide you with strong abilities and upgrades to your hat. If you have money, of course.
So you spend pawns here in order to get new badges. This is a badge pin. Gets us the ability to equip a second badge. We don't even have a first badge yet, but I'm going to buy it anyway because these are... you want as many of those as you can get. And we'll pick up the item magnet. It's useful enough, especially early on when we're trying to collect a lot of pawns. So, as you may have noticed, the pin actually shows up on her hat, which I think is a neat little touch. So we need to get back into that theater, but obviously there's a man on the door. Well, let's talk to the bartender, see if we learn anything.
Mafia not know what child dream. Whatever problem is, Mafia sure you can deal with it. You look like tenacious type, not leave problem alone.
Yeah, he reminded me for some reason of the game Hyper Light Drifter as well.
Other little girl run into kitchen. If you are looking for her, she look like unruly type. Keep eye on her.
Yeah, so we need to get back into the kitchen. It's just not sanitary. Gordon Ramsay would have an absolute fit in here. So,
Go
here's
ahead,
Mustache
kid.
Girl.
Open this thing up and I'll keep guard here.
So we gotta find the key for that door. It's not in here. Ah, I know where it is. Fortunately, the game doesn't get crazy with wild goose chases. So, we need to get through here, but no matter how fast we are, the door's a little faster. This is the Mafia bathroom, and there's an also Mafia. This is a little Mafia wearing a bow. Yeah. But as you may have noticed, all of the Mafia are male. Durr, this is the smoke coming out of the turlet, is the poop. This is a Rift token! If we collect 3 of them, we can play a little slot machine game, and it will get us skins for our hat, remixes for songs, different color palettes for Hat Kid that we can swap between freely, that kind of thing. So, clearly we need something to weigh that button down. And these pawns guide us up to the ceiling, where we can see there are more pawns up in the rafters, which lets us know it's a good idea. Hey, maybe we run around up there. There are rats up here in what I think is an homage to the Final Fantasy VI opera scene, but that's kind of a stretch.
The Mafia are terrible at cooking, but fear not. Cooking Cat is here. I prepare the actual dinner up here and swap the food before anybody eats the Mafia's cooking. I'm fairly certain someone would die if they ate the Mafia prepared food.
So now we got this bucket. We'll take this bucket into the bathrooms. Oh, I can't sprint with it on. That's unfortunate. So we right trigger to drop it. And now we have the key. We can go through into the back of the kitchen. And we're just about done with this place.
Go ahead, kid.
It takes a whole lot of pity on us very early on, and just tells us exactly where to go with camera angles and such, but at the very beginning of the game I think that's a good thing. It gets us more yarn. We don't have another hat to make yet, but we will soon enough, and we'll want to have it ready to go. You resist the urge to think of any fish puns. It's tough, hella, but you manage to hold them back. Womp 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 womp. You may hear my son screaming in the background. He's refusing to nap today. Again. Even though he is so exhausted. They go through that sometimes, I'm not really sure why. Growth spurts, teething. Take your pick. Look, more yarn! We are going to need 8 spare yarn for our next hat, so we need to start stockpiling as many as possible. And yet, yes, so Matt says that the cat is also just cooking from a pile of rotting fish in a rat-infested rafter, and yet it's still better than the Mafia's. Which says something. The brewing hat absolutely vaporizes mooks, so very nice for that.
So, it is you! Ever since you landed in Mafia Town, it's been raining with these magical hourglasses. You must be very lost, kid with the hat. You're in the heart of our town, standing before the most powerful man you will ever witness. Everything you've ever owned belongs to me now, including this hourglass piece. If you want it, we'll have to settle it in true Mafia style. Lights, action! It is showtime!
Alright, first boss. So, all the bosses have patterns, and they are vulnerable when they glow blue. That is consistent. So you want to be ready to capitalize on that as soon as possible. I'm gonna have to concentrate a little bit, because even the first guy here is no slouch. Something else is that the boss fights are extremely long. They have many, many phases, take quite a while. Which is why I say the barrel battle is not a good indicator of the rest of the boss fights. Whoop. I'm not even sure what that attack is supposed to do, because he stands in the middle of the stage and makes himself vulnerable.
I've got your friend captured, and soon you will both perish!
Oh, I took a hit. Now I can't get the one-hit hero achievement. There is an achievement for no-hitting every boss, and actually you have to be wearing a specific... You get a badge later on that gives you 1 hit point. And the achievement is for beating the boss with that. Oh, the Mafia Ball. This is his big, annoying attack. Kind of not obvious what you have to do there. It's obvious that there's a safe spot to have it roll over you. But it's not so much obvious that you need to climb up on the ball that doing that won't hurt you. Oh boy. Pilgrim, everybody. The reference there is really obvious, right? And actually, I really like the post-boss fight cutscene here, so I'm gonna shut up and let it play out.
So what do these things do anyway? Are they some sort of rare collector's item for nerds? Are they some sort of rare wait, huh? Whoa, what? What? Did you know about this? This is crazy! Do you even realize what could be done with these? We can make it so that you never got punched in the face by the Mafia that one time. We could beat up the Mafia, travel back in time, and then beat them up again. No, wait. We can make it so the Mafia never arrived on the island. Wait. Even better. We could be crime-fighting time travelers. Wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. You have all this power, and you're not going to use it to fight evil? If you're not going to use them to fight evil, then I will. I'm not going to let this island remain as Mafia Town. I'll collect all the timepieces for myself. You have my word on it.
And that's how you get the player to absolutely loathe your villain in like 2 minutes. But this is the pattern of the game. The timepieces have the power to control time, they fall all over the world. You go around and encounter people who are trying to use them for their own nefarious ends. And you gotta clean them up. Collect all your timepieces. Hadkit is true neutral and just wants to get back home. So, I could go do Battle of the Birds, and I kinda want to because Battle of the Birds is fantastic, but I gotta end the stream in like 20 minutes here. It's a rite of passage to tell the old man in Breath of the Wild to go fuck himself as much as you possibly can. This is the Golden Vault. This is one of my favorite missions because it is totally freeform and the objective is basically to just explore the whole island. You may have also seen those blue orb things that popped up. Those are time rifts. And if you find them in the level, they unlock these really cool second areas that I'm gonna show off because they're awesome. And we should be pretty near one, I believe. Yeah, and it's like the plot of this game is not all that big a deal. It's not fantastic, but it's inoffensive and not distracting while you're trying to do stuff, and gives you a little bit of stakes and a little bit of flavor around what you're doing, but doesn't stop you dead in your tracks for 10-minute cutscenes. Super Mario Odyssey, that's not why we're here. Or not Super Mario Odyssey, sorry, Super Mario Sunshine. These are relics. You find 3 of them in each world, and they unlock an additional purple time rift, which is much harder. The time rifts all have time pieces in them as well, so if we're going to go for 100% completion, and you know we are, we need to get all of them. The relics are an interesting idea because they're not just, like, collect 3 of this and then you have the thing. They are... You have to... They're like puzzle pieces. You gotta find the pieces of the puzzle, combine them so that they fit. And you use pawns to unlock these little pedestals on your ship where you display them. And they are essentially Hat Kid finding artifacts from... I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Earth, but the planet she's on... And if you examine the relics afterward, you get Hat Kid's commentary on them. So I feel like they took... Oh, I forgot that I don't have my hookshot yet. They took what could have been a very perfunctory... You know, the deal with collectathons is that you collect the main thing you want to collect, or you collect a few of some other thing that gives you the main thing you want to collect, and it's hard to obfuscate that and make it interesting. And that's certainly one way to do it. So these are the time rifts. They're the very best part of the game. They are very similar to the platforming challenges in Super Mario Sunshine. Not quite as frustrating and hard, but they're a little bit of a challenge. They're kind of the pure platforming that the game throws at you. The first ones in Mafia Town are very easy. The ones in pretty much every other world after this get way, way harder, especially World 2. Weirdly enough, World 2 has some really brutal time rifts, including possibly the hardest in the game, which is the Big Parade. The Big Parade as a level is extremely difficult, and then its time rift is maybe the hardest in the game. But we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on that. You can watch me fail at this over and over again. It's a real treat. I should probably just slow down and do it the intended way, but this is something about platforming games, 3D platforming games, that my general philosophy is that they are about jumping and not tightrope walking, and it is usually easier to jump and land on a small part of the platform than it is to just walk a straight line in a lot of these things. That's a belly slide. You can do that on any sloped surface, and it's the fastest form of movement in the game. And if you ever get a chance to watch a speedrun, they do some really, really awesome ones that last for quite a while and move very fast. These guys here are very much the point of your sprint hat. So that's our first time rift. They are super fun. And every time your rift you complete gets you a free spin on the roulette wheelo stuff, or a slot machine of stuff. You don't have to match anything up though. Oh, and we got the best hat right away. It just gives you 3 chances. So if you roll something you don't want, you can do the next row, or column. Well, see, there's a lot of different ways to play these kinds of games. They're open-ended, so you can go through the normal way, or you can try to circumvent everything. And a lot of times that takes skill and creativity beyond even completing the regular challenges. But on your first time through the game, it usually is better to just... Oh, so there are these places... Sorry to get a little off topic, but there are places in the game where you can just sit still, and it'll do stuff like this, and it's just very... She's watching some kind of corgi-based show. You can stop and just slow down for a minute and relax, enjoy the scenery. So this is a skin, this is my sprint hat, and you can actually switch skins in here, but this is my favorite one, it's the dinosaur one. It's super cute, it reminds me of Dino-Gnar from League. Glowy yellow obstacles can be blown up with the brewing hat. This thing lets us, well here, so this, we don't have 3 rift tokens, we only have 1. But when we get 3, we can use it, and it gives us a spin on a slot machine just like that. The one we saw earlier, when we completed the time rift. And of course, the interesting thing about the act-based structure is that it will modify the level based on which act you choose. So if you choose She Came from Outer Space, then it'll be raining. If you choose the Golden Vault, there'll be none of the story-based stuff. But you can replay a level pretty much exactly as it was when the game started. The difference will be that you have any hats or badges you've collected so far. Oh, that one's hard to land on. So they're tormenting this poor man. So we're gonna blow him up. Oh, you punched a little girl, man. That's messed up. I guess they are the Mafia. So Dino Sprint hat. And we're gonna find the other Time Rift. Should have time for that. Because the Time Rifts really are my favorite part of the game. The rest's pretty great. Well, I lied. The ending of Subcon Forest is my favorite part of the game, but the Time Rifts are up there. Oh really, can you just stomp on them? I've never tried that. So something about Mafia Town, I said it was my least favorite level and I stand by that, but it is very gorgeous. It's probably the most colorful level. I guess you could argue the fourth one, but I think this one is sunny and bright and colorful. I'm really glad that video games are going back to having interesting color palettes, being brightly colored. For a long time there was every game has to be realistic, and real is brown and gray. Everything in real life is brown and gray. Now you got bright, colorful palettes again, even in major AAA games. Even in, like, Call of Duty, which is fantastic. You can absolutely go down these water slides. If I remember where the top of them is. I should be right next to the other Time Rift here. It's hard to say. There are a couple of spots on the beach that look fairly identical, but I'm pretty sure this is it. Yeah, I'm gonna cruise around a little bit, explore the level, get some yarn. The amount of yarn you need for a hat doubles every time, and there are, I believe, 5 extra hats? So 6, yeah. So eventually we'll need a whole crap ton of yarn to finish the last hat. Plus, it's fun. It's fun to run around and explore the level and find cool stuff. These cannons will fire you through various parts of the level. Hey, there's another vault over here. 6? That's a lot of them. I'll come back for you. Okay, so there's the bazaar. We should be right next to the other Time Rift. Are we not? Oh no. I might be thinking of the purple one, actually. Oh boy, because I haven't unlocked that one. That one doesn't show up yet. Well, I suppose we could just actually go do the Golden Vault. I don't have the ice hat, so it's going to be a little slow, because I can't... The next hat we get allows me to use those little flipperboard platforms to travel around the level really fast. But I am familiar enough with the game's controls that I can get up there pretty quickly. I'm going to take a brief break for this, because this one's real easy. It's almost an introduction to the vaults.
All
I passed it by really quick during the first level, but generally you do it there, and it shows you how these things work. More yarn! So at the very least, we'll have finished the introductory sort of stuff. And then next time, we are going to just go straight into Battle of the Birds, which is the next world. And that is where IMO, the game, starts to really pick up and get creative and crazy. But I could just be... People really love Mafia Town. They consistently call it... People call it their favorite level, or... They really love it. So it could just be me. For some reason, it doesn't strike me. I don't even think it's bad, but just in comparison to what the other levels do. But I guess that's sort of the curse of the first level in most games. They can't... They have to keep you acclimated enough in order to... You need to not get lost because you're still figuring out how the game works, right? Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to go all the way up here. That's okay. But they can't, you know, the next levels really set up some crazy set-piece stuff. Yeah, we'll go for this one next. So, like, I guess I could talk ahead a little bit about it instead of being super vague and mysterious, but without getting too much into spoiling what's going on. The Battle of the Birds is a level where there are two different directors making movies. They're both birds. One's, well, you'll see. They've got interesting personalities, they clash off each other, and each level is a different movie you're helping them make. And so there are these interesting settings, there are these really great, like, the dialogue gets super hilarious, and the game just takes off like a bat out of hell. But I don't have the time to get into it. It takes a while. There's cutscenes, and I really want to do it justice, so I'm not gonna get into it, since I have to. Liz and I are celebrating our 5th wedding anniversary tonight, so I have to cut the stream at an hour. It's not actually our anniversary yet, but it will be. It will be soon, and we have a babysitter tonight, so... Boy, I'm gonna be able to... As soon as the new head is available... Oh, I forgot. So there's a badge that you can get that makes it so you don't bonk when you dash into stuff, but I do not have it yet. And it is way more useful than it sounds, because if you dash into something, normally you bonk and fall backwards and it kills all your momentum and it sucks. And if you dash into a wall with the badge, you wall run up it. And that is a huge difference in terms of just how you can move. And so I get used to intentionally dashing into walls, and then when I start a new file up, I don't have the ability to do that, and I smack my face into walls. That's my excuse. So we're pretty close on the Golden Vault here. Well, so, okay, if I could go into a little more detail as to why I don't like Mafia Town that much. Where is it going? Is it... I have totally forgotten where this one is. I think... Oh, I just gotta climb. That's right, there's places I can do that, pretty sure. Well, so if I can go into a little detail... This place is gorgeous, and I can tell they spent a friggin' year making it, so I'm not here to bitch about it, but it's hard to tell exactly where you need to go sometimes. It's very visually busy, and there's not a whole lot of just guidance for the player in the level design, right? Is this where they wanted me to go? Feels like it. And just in general, it's... I don't know, it's a little bit of a mess. It's not horrible, it's just... The later levels really get into a more keenly designed... They don't do just a big area that you wander around in, they do a lot of little smaller areas, and that's... Having done a little bit of level design myself, not to be all like, I'm an expert, but having done a little bit of level design myself, it is much, much easier to develop some small, focused areas that are fun and interesting than it is to develop a huge, gigantic world the player can attack from any direction and make that be interesting. And so for amateur developers, I feel like this place was really cool, I'm glad they built it, but it just doesn't suit their strengths very well, and... Oh no, here we go, I just needed to follow it around. Hey! You'd think I wouldn't... You'd think I've played this before or something. But... Surprise! Oh hey, it's the badge seller. We've got a bunch more pawns now, so let's pick up some stuff. So, this is the projectile badge. Kinda useless, except it's super cool. We'll get into it later when I'm able to buy it. This is the Mumble badge, which makes everybody talk like they're in Banjo-Kazooie. I won't be buying it, I don't think, especially not for now. This is the Hover badge, which will cancel fall damage. We'll pull out a little parasol and float down. Or pull out our umbrella, our attack umbrella. It's somewhat useful, but actually, on a couple of the levels where it would be useful, it has some weird interactions that make it a little less than you might like. We are right on top of that next ticket, and that's the last one, and we'll be able to open the vault, and I'm going to call the stream after that. Here we go, that's the fourth one. So, I am thinking about doing some practice streams that I may not announce ahead of time, where I just do... I played anything, whatever, Hearthstone, Civilization, some random thing when Xander's not napping in the middle of the day. But if I get free time, if I have time, I'd like to do some practice streams just because I feel like I need practice at talking while I play, and doing both well at the same time. I feel like I did better on the ums and ahs this time, but we're gonna see when I rewatch the playback. But if people would be interested in watching the practice streams, I suppose I could announce them, so let me know if that sounds like something you're interested in. But if not, I'll just won't stream it. I'll play video games and talk over them and see what I can do. Or maybe I will, so I can record them and look back at them myself. But I might just make those videos private on the YouTube channel or something like that. I don't know. I'd love feedback on how this whole thing is going, because I really don't have a feel for how... I know some people are liking this, but... People can subscribe? Does that, like, tell them when I'm on, or...? Okay, well that's cool. Yeah, if you want to watch my practice streams, subscribe, I guess. I don't know when I'll be on, and I probably won't be announcing them on Facebook or anything like that, so... Alright, well, that's today's stream. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope this went well. I will see you around next time.